It's a me, Mario! Well, maybe not. But here are 50 insane video game facts that will blow your mind. There was a Pokemon card called Birthday Surprise, a move that dealt more damage on your birthday. The card was banned from competitive play because people kept faking their date of birth. Rockstar Games hired real-life gang members to voice background characters in Grand Theft Auto 5 in an attempt to add as much authenticity to the game as possible. Two PlayStation 1 games, FIFA 2001 and Gran Turismo 2, had scratch and sniff discs. FIFA smelt like a soccer field, while Gran Turismo smelled like car tires. Video game loot boxes are illegal in Belgium because they're in violation of their gambling legislation. The first 100,000 copies of PlayStation 1 game Tiger Woods 99 had an Easter egg that an EA Sports employee snuck in. It contained a file that would play the first ever South Park short made. These copies were later recalled by EA. The founders of video game maker Acclaim named their company so it would be listed alphabetically before their competitors Activision and Accolade. The Tetris effect occurs when you focus so much on something, such as a video game, that you start to experience it in real life. The fungus that infects the clickers in the PlayStation game The Last of Us is based off the real-life fungus Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. Let's try that again. Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. Back to the facts. The iconic GoldenEye 007 released on the Nintendo 64 was created by only 9 people. 8 of them had never worked on a video game before. In 1983, Atari couldn't sell their game, so they buried truckloads of cartridges in a New Mexico landfill. The incident represented a turning point, marking a decline of US gaming companies and allowed Japanese companies Sega, Nintendo, and Sony to enter the US market. The longest video game marathon is 138 hours 34 seconds and was achieved by a Californian teacher playing Just Dance. The PlayStation's controller buttons have meanings. The triangle refers to the player's view looking forward, square refers to menus or maps, and the circle and X represent yes and no. In 1993, within hours of its release, the video game Doom was banned from multiple universities as the rush of players overwhelmed their systems with death matches. Starting in 2017, the US Navy began using Xbox 360 video game controllers to operate periscopes on some of its newer, more advanced submarines. Penn & Teller designed a video game called Desert Bus, in which the player drove an 8-hour bus route between Tucson and Las Vegas. It's impossible to cheat. The only scenery are rocks and road signs, and once the player has reached their destination, they have to turn around and drive back. There's a video game where the main character is blind, so you play the whole game with a black screen, having to carefully listen to the sounds to navigate the story. About 60% of female avatars in online games are played by male players. The creator of Tetris didn't receive any royalties from the game until 1996, as the rights were owned by his former employer, the Soviet government. The PlayStation 2 continued to be produced until 2013, one of the longest lifespans of any video game console. While trying to create a pig in Minecraft, they accidentally switched the length and height and ended up with what is now known as a creeper. Mario from the Nintendo franchise was originally named Jumpman. He initially featured in the 1981 arcade game Donkey Kong, but became known as Mario in later games. A man managed to buy a PlayStation 4 for only £8 by weighing the console under the fruit and vegetables section of a self-serve checkout. He was only caught when he tried the scam again. A Far Cry film based on the video game was released in 2006. It was a major box office flop, making under $800,000 against a $30 million budget. Released in 1991, Neverwinter Nights was the first successful MMORPG. When it first came out, it cost so much to connect to the internet that just playing 1 hour cost $6. Tom Nook from Animal Crossing isn't a raccoon, he's a tanuki, an animal portrayed as a mischievous trickster in Japanese folklore. Sonic the Hedgehog was originally brown, bald, and named Mr. Needlemouse. Sony made a special black PlayStation that would let you develop games and could only be purchased by mail order. It cost $750 in 1997 and today is impossible to find. Back in the 80s, people downloaded video games from the radio broadcast by recording the sounds onto a cassette tape. The mushroom houses in Super Mario Bros. 3 already know what item it'll randomly give you at the start. Picking one box holds no advantage over the others. Choices. The Sims was originally meant to be an architecture simulator with the people only there to evaluate the houses. Pac-Man was nearly sold in the US as Puck-Man because he looks similar to a hockey puck. Playing Rise of the Tomb Raider on February 14th displays a special message. That message is Happy Birthday, Lara Croft. From 1987 to 2005, there was a Nintendo Power hotline where players could call to talk to gameplay counselors who would offer help and advice for Nintendo games. Due to hardware limitations, back in 1981, Mario was clothed in simple blue overalls and a red shirt. His cap was added to avoid drawing his hairstyle, forehead and eyebrows, and they also gave him a large nose and mustache to avoid the need to draw a mouth and expressions. The first edition of Minecraft was made in just 6 days. It was originally going to be called Cave Game. Game company Midway paid boxing announcer Mike Buffer $100 million to license in perpetuity his trademark phrase, "Let's get ready to rumble." Mario Kart 64 drivers had different weight classes. Toad, Yoshi, and Peach were intentionally faster than the other races. The Witcher 3 has a 450,000 word script across 950 speaking roles. The dialogue took nearly 3 years to record. In 2005, a glitch in World of Warcraft allowed a plague to spread in the game, leading not infected players to abandon cities and those infected forced into quarantine. It was later studied to see how people would react to a pandemic. There's a piece of cheese hidden in every level of Perfect Dark. When Microsoft shut down Halo 2 multiplayer, one player kept his Xbox running for a month until he was booted from the game. There's a video game called Lose Lose that deletes a random file on your computer every time you destroy an enemy. Windows 95 was the second most installed piece of software on computers in 1995, only second behind the video game Doom. In 2010, the US Air Force used 1,800 PlayStation 3 consoles to build a supercomputer for the Department of Defense. They chose to use PS3s because it was more cost efficient. The video game Rock Band The Beatles was produced under the codename Rock Band Nickelback. This was because they wanted to deflect curiosity about the game's development. Ash Ketchum only caught 57 unique individual Pokemon over the course of the series, roughly 7% of the Pokemon available to him. Sony needed military export permits from the Japanese Trade Ministry to export PlayStation 2s. The PS2 was so good at processing high-quality images that the Japanese government believed they could be adapted for use in missile guidance systems. Games like the 1991 franchise Battletoads were made so hard because Nintendo was losing money on video game rentals, they thought if it took a long time to beat, people would buy the game instead. Named after Wile E. Coyote, Coyote Time is the brief period of time given to players who walk off the edge of a cliff where the game still registers inputs. It's intended to prevent a player rage quitting. Mortal Kombat's fatalities led to a congressional hearing and the creation of a video game rating system. And there's my 50 insane video game facts. Did you know any of those facts? Did you know all of those facts? I hope not. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like and subscribe because that'll really help. I'm releasing videos weekly, so please keep tuning in. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.